Hi, this is the week 14 lecture on consumer psychology, and it'll be actually it's the last class lecture because week 15 and 16 you'll be able to focus on the final quiz. Um, Psychology is pretty important in retail, and I want to give you one idea of a theory and a person who works in this area. His name is Clotaire Rapaille. He was French-born. He's an American now, and he was trained in Jungian psychology. He's an expert in marketing. He's an expert in culture as well. His studies, the defining characteristics of a culture, or what he refers to as cultural codes, and he describes how they're used in marketing. He used his research on cultural codes to assist Chrysler in designing the PT Cruiser. And what the PT Cruiser actually turned out to be was the visual representation of baby boomers' memory of a classic car. And it was a pretty successful car, had a pretty long run, and GM picked up the design with the HHR as well. So when companies tap into these cultural codes, it's pretty powerful stuff. They tend to sell products. So Rapaille, he describes cultural codes as being learned similar to imprinting in animals. For example, there's a classic picture in textbooks of a researcher named Lorenz who hatched some geese, and so they biologically imprinted to him as him being the mother, and so it shows the classic picture shows him walking and all the baby, what are they, goslings following him, and that's an example of biological imprinting. Well, Rapaille says similar to that, cultural codes are learned through imprinting. In other words, people are immersed in the culture, and so they adopt these codes as part of that cultural immersion. This also would be true of immigrants who come here, assimilate, and then are immersed in the culture for a long period. Now, the key is they have to assimilate, because sometimes people come, they immigrate to the culture, but they don't assimilate, so they maintain their previous culture. The American code for work is who you are. A lot of times if you're in a workshop and you ask people to introduce themselves, they'll say, I am, and they follow that by whatever they do. For example, I say, I am a college professor. So Americans believe a person is what they do, and the cultural code certainly has an adverse impact on people who are employed, because, in other words, if they're doing nothing, if I'm unemployed and I'm doing nothing, I can't find employment, then that equates to I am nobody. In other words, I'm being nobody, which is demoralizing. So Americans seek meaning through their work, and which means that's fulfilling on one hand, and it's also problematic on the other when they're not working. The Ritz-Carlton hotels are an example of a company that's really tapped into this code. They refer to their employees as ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen. And so they create sophistication for their employees. Why? Because the Ritz-Carlton believes the way they treat their employees is how their employees will treat their customers. So their goal is to create the best experience of their guests' lives. And any employee at the Ritz-Carlton is empowered to fix a guest problem and even grant them a free stay if needed. This is right down to the janitor. A janitor can fix a customer's problem. They're empowered. The leaders also have their employees' back. If a guest is unreasonable or out of hand, the employee can receive immediate assistance from top management. So the leaders want their employees to be treated with dignity and respect at all times, and so you have to appreciate that value. The American code for quality is it works. In other words, we don't necessarily have to have a high standard, but when something's advertised to work in a specific way, we expect it to do what it claims it will do. And so it's a standard that's less than perfection. Our actual standard for perfection is death. We believe in obsolescence. When something's updated, it provides us an excuse to purchase the new version. Look at Apple and how often they bring out new versions of iPhones, iPads, iPods, their computers. I mean, they've tapped into this cultural code and made an art of it, and it works. When something breaks, Americans expect great service, and if they get that, then they're okay with the fact that the product broke. Now Hyundai, their products improved today, but when there was a time when their cars weren't all that great. So what they did to tap into this code is they were the very first company to offer a 10-year warranty on their products. So they're saying, hey, you know, we'll get you through it, and that worked. That launched their product. Rapai has developed marketing codes in the U.S. for just about everything. He's got love, seduction, and sex, beauty and fat, health and youth, home and dinner or dining, quality and perfection, work and money, food and alcohol, shopping and luxury. In other words, what he's saying is there is a cultural code for each of these, and tapping into that is what is successful. And so I wanted you to see an example of this, and certainly psychology is central to marketing and appeal. Watch any show on TV, watch a commercial, you'll see psychology at work. If you have an interest in this, I recommend Rapai's book. It's called The Culture Code, and it came out in 2006. So, and this will be included as part of the transcript. Thanks.